Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast. We talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today, we are talking the Disney Plus MCU live-action Super Bowl trailer. And how is that for a mouthful? I'm Blade O'Neill.
Ken Brown.
Lance O'Neill.
Now, this is the first episode that we recorded since the unfortunate passing of Kobe Bryant. And I personally do not watch basketball, but Kobe Bryant was definitely a figure that transcended just the sport. Definitely just an icon. And my gosh, like how incredibly heartbreaking it was, like when we discovered that news last Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, I mean, when I heard it, I was actually in the car with you, and that was just like, I got chills. Like, it was so, like, it's just devastating for just, not only just, you know, their families, not even just basketball, not even just the Lakers, but just like the sports industry and pop culture and just the United States, like everywhere, you know, everything that you know, like he's affected so many different people. He was such a talented person. You know, I mean, this guy spoke 4 different languages. He took a helicopter everywhere all the time so he could spend more time with his family. You know, he was a very family-oriented guy, and it's just for something like that to happen to him it's heartbreaking.
He was an icon that transcended not just sports, but pop culture. He was, I mean, how many kids do you see growing up going every time they shoot like a paper wastebasket? Kobe! Yep. I mean, that's been something that he kind of put Jordan as almost an equal in some ways to him. There's never been a player that has kind of transcended culture the same way Michael Jordan did. And the cool thing about it too is him and Magic Johnson were lifer Lakers. Like Kobe didn't go play anywhere else. Yeah, he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets and traded to the Lakers, but he never played a day for the Charlotte Hornets. Right. He had chances to go sign with other teams. I remember being out here in Phoenix where we are. The Suns were trying so hard to sign Kobe one year when they had Stoudemire and Steve Nash. And there were rumors that like Kobe was considering it, but he was just posturing to get more money from the Lakers, which is what you do as a sports player.
Right. And he, you know, a lifetime Laker. And that's rare, especially in basketball today and all sports today, is like someone to stay with like a team their whole career. But, you know, it's a shame. Not only that, you know, and, you know, I'm also, you know, obviously we also have to mention, you know, his daughter was also in the helicopter, which is terrible. Thankfully, I guess one good thing is apparently him and his wife always said that they both will never fly the helicopter at the same time in case something like this ever happens.
Yes.
But also on board was also a college baseball coach with his whole family, his wife and his kids. They were going to a basketball camp together. And I mean, this guy was a great coach. He coached Aaron Judge. He coached Jeff McNeil. They were up on the Yankees and the Mets. They're all-star players. And, you know, it's so upsetting, you know, how this transpired.
Yeah, all of the life loss, you know, not even just Kobe Bryant. Like this is definitely tragic. It was definitely heartbreaking. So we just wanted to start this episode with a 24-second moment of silence in honor of Kobe Bryant. And with last Sunday now, on a happier note, and this is still the world of sports, we had the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Super Bowl
54.
54. I didn't watch it. Ken watched it.
Yes.
And but you helped us accumulate a couple of good commercials we're going to talk about real quick.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I said too, I know we don't talk a whole lot of sports on the show, but just for a few seconds, I want to bring up that this was probably one of the most entertaining Super Bowls we've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah. And who was in it?
It was the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers.
49ers, okay.
Which is really saying a lot for me because I have no care for either of those two teams. And I think that's why it was so entertaining. It was because it was good football. It was practically 2 different games. The Niners dominated the first 3 quarters. And then Pat Mahomes and his playoff 2019 tradition, coming from behind in the fourth quarter and winning the ball games.
Okay.
And it was really kind of an exciting Super Bowl. I mean, I was glad to see the Niners lose because I'm a Cardinals fan, but the commercials were super entertaining the whole way through, because usually commercials are like, oh man, this one sucks. This is like a horrible game, horrible commercials. You don't want to write about it anymore. But
right, yeah,
this year was good.
Years was pretty terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, but the good thing is that like I didn't watch the game, but I did, I looked up who was playing, obviously. I did want the Kansas City Chiefs to win, so that was good. And the only reason I wanted to win, I'm not a fan of, and I don't hate the 49ers. 49ers have won 4 or 5 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah, 5 Super Bowls. 5 and down 5 and 2.
Kansas City Chiefs hasn't won since Super Bowl II. So, good for them that they Super Bowl 4?
Yes, they beat the Vikings Super Bowl 4. They were in the first Super Bowl against the Packers, and they lost the first Super Bowl against the Packers, and then Super Bowl 4 they beat the Vikings. So it's been exactly 50 years since they've won the Super Bowl.
Because it was in 68, crazy. Right? I mean 69, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like 69 season, 70 Super Bowl. But It was pretty crazy. So it's ironic that it's the 100th year of the NFL. It's the 50th year since the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, which is pretty crazy too, because the AFC Championship game now, the trophy, the champion, is named the Lamar Hunt Trophy, and the Hunt family is who owns the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's kind of a fun year for the 100th year of the NFL playing football. They have this tradition playing its full circle. We're hoping that the Packers would beat the Niners. It would have been a repeat of Super Bowl number 1 for Super Bowl number 54.
Oh, wow. That would have been poetic.
Oh my gosh. I thought it would have been such a great story, but I said too, the Niners had different plans and good teams.
Well, regardless of whether you even like football or not, many people just tune into the Super Bowl to watch the commercials.
Oh, absolutely.
And I have watched Super Bowls in the past, and commercials don't always necessarily deliver, but there were a couple of good ones this year, and good enough, I'd say, that our main podcast topic of today is going to be about one of those commercials. But Ken showed us a couple, and I saw one before. It was the Hyundai ad that they did. Featured Chris Evans, who plays Captain America. The girl from Saturday Night Live. Gosh, I can't think of her name, which I'm sorry. But also had John Krasinski, who plays Jim in The Office. But what a good spot. The car's got smart park. It's like some classic SNL humor there.
Yeah, don't forget David Ortiz is in there.
Oh, yes, that's right. Big Papi.
Iconic. Yes. The guy that's shouting out from the window. Oh, that's Big Papi. It's an iconic Boston Red Sox.
Right. Hey, look, it's Big Papi.
Boston Red Sox.
What a great commercial. I'm pretty sure that was made by a Notion, who does usually, or was doing Hyundai's national stuff for at least a very long time. It was good. That was just some good basic, funny humor. Nothing too crazy.
So was Chris Evans like if Captain America was from Boston and not Brooklyn?
I know. That's what it was. I'm going, is Chris Evans from Boston as I'm watching this commercial? I didn't even know that.
Well, the Red Skull asked him, like, what makes you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Boston.
It's all about the tea party, man.
Why don't you go pack your Nazi cow over there?
He did have the Nazi cow.
Oh, that's an interesting what if for you.
Yes. What if Cap was from Boston?
So another commercial who had a DC star, and I think it was one of my favorite. Not that I saw a ton of the commercials, but I saw the Rocket Reach had a commercial with Jason Momoa. And what was your initial reaction when you saw it?
Well, Rocket Momoa, dude, Jason Momoa commercial. This is something comic book related. This would be fun to at least say Jason Momoa made the Super Bowl, but Jason Momoa made a transformation as this commercial went, just peeling off like it was almost like a weight loss commercial. You felt like as you're watching there, just goes home. Sometimes you just want to go home and just relax in your own place and just feel like you're at home. He starts peeling off his arm muscles, his stomach abs. I love the best part when he takes off his toupee and tosses it across the room.
Just one more thing.
Yes, and it was great to see him just kind of trying to relate to the majority of the people in the world that can't relate to him.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's also funny because like commercials like that would be so hard to do if it wasn't for like how good like CGI and stuff is now.
Oh, yes.
Like it would have looked terrible. It would have been like, oh wow, it's like kind of corny and not really funny. But it actually looked like halfway decent and it was funny. Delivery was great. And then after the credit thing with him trying to like lift the bar and he couldn't do it was hilarious. Oh my gosh, it was a great commercial.
I think what was so funny for me was as he's walking, he's talking about like, you can be yourself and like let your guard down. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is he going to get attacked or something? Like I was expecting it to go like a completely different direction. So I think it was like the setup and then the delivery is like, you don't expect someone to just take off their arm and like muscles, very, very well done. Very funny. And, kind of also pokes fun at, like all these people who think he's like this good looking guy and they want to look at him with his shirt off. And, it kind of pokes fun of it on that level as well, I think,
Yes, absolutely. And I said too, like every commercial seemed to at least some way or another yesterday grab your attention in one way or another. There was even a Pepsi commercial where Pepsi was talking about their new Pepsi Zero, and it was crazy because they're peeling away the Coca-Cola. They're covering the Coca-Cola can with the Pepsi logo of Pepsi Zero, whatever their new thing is called now, Pepsi Max. Okay. And I'm kind of going, wow, dude, it's like they're really calling out Coke right there in a hardcore message during a Super Bowl commercial. And we're kind of like other people watching the game with us like, are they allowed to do that? I'm going, well, dude, it's a competitor's commercial.
Well, what's interesting is when there was a Halloween like little advertisement with Coke and Pepsi, and it was I forgot which direction I forgot which one it was. It was a Coke can and it had like a Pepsi like cape over it, and it said had something to do with like this is my Halloween costume, and they posted it, and then the Coke posted it originally, or Pepsi, one of them posted it, and then they reposted it as the same exact commercial, but they just changed the tagline to say like what's frightening is like what's actually under the whatever. But it was like you could clearly see that it was like Coke's on the inside, Pepsi's on the outside, that they were just like they're like going back and forth with each other's product. So there has to be some kind of deal, because I feel like companies would be upset if you're using my product, even though it's like it was like partially covered. You could argue saying, oh, that's not actually doesn't say Pepsi under there because you can't see the first two letters. But it almost feels like maybe they got like a little deal done, like, hey, can we use each other's like product in a commercial, and that way we can make some good content together?
Did you see the full logo
of Coke? It looked like an old Coke can. And so maybe that's what someone was like saying, where it's like, maybe it's because it's an old logo Coke can. They could get away with it.
Old logo.
And
I mean, does
Coke,
that fall under public domain, but it's copyright?
If you think about it, though, Coke may have been fine with it because it's free message about their product.
That does
right
not,
during the Super Bowl.
That doesn't matter. What does matter is, I think there's
pull up the commercial and watch it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is whether or not you're smearing someone.
Here it is.
And so they have the Coke can, they cover it in black, and they have the red wave, the white wave in the background there, and kind of calling out Coke, really like, hey, your flavor is nothing compared to ours.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not saying anything false about your competitor. From what I understand, and I could be wrong, you can say it, but that's why you sometimes see commercials like, compare our thing to the generic brand or to the other guy's brand. Like, if you kind of know advertising a little bit, you realize that like there's something wrong with the claim that they're not saying like, compare.
They didn't say
Pepsi
Coke
to
once,
Coke.
did they? I don't think in the commercial.
I didn't hear him say it, but they showed it.
Yes.
So like I see where that's going a little crazy. But yeah, I mean like. They paid, how many millions of dollars for this? Like they paid for the lawyers to figure out how to do this, without getting in trouble.
Well, like the cell phone companies, they do that all the time. They always try to phrase like, we have the best network, but they never say specifics on everything, except for maybe once in a while they'll be like, well, we have better than T-Mobile. And it's just, they only say T-Mobile. They don't say anybody else.
Yes.
Well, if you look closely, usually when you make a claim like that, it's for something very specific, and in the legal on the bottom, it's like the best network as far as coverage because we have the most tolerance. Like there's a whole thing on why that makes this claim true and what makes it legal for them to say it. So I mean, what it comes down to is all of advertising is a nonsense anyway. So, but okay, I guess all right. Before we jump into the Disney Plus episode, one more commercial we were going to bring up was Bill Murray reprised his Groundhog's Day role in a Jeep commercial.
That was outstanding. Groundhog's Day, I'm sure, as everybody knows, is a cult classic.
Absolutely.
Bill Murray wakes up every day and the groundhog is not there and he's got to relive the same day over and over and over again. Well, they got brilliant Jeeps and, hey, let's pull on something that everybody recognizes in pop culture. And they had Bill Murray wake up and instead of going to the orange truck, he sees an orange Jeep. What's it called? The
Rubicon.
Rubicon, was it? Or something like that brand new Jeep that they just put out in the market. And he goes to that truck and he has a blast and he can't wait. You know, the groundhog he has with him, so no one else sees the groundhog, so he can have this day happen over and over and over again because no one else saw the groundhog except him, and he's having all these fun adventures with his Jeep.
Yeah, they did a really good job, like, captivating, like, the movie. Like,
Yes.
it felt like I was actually watching the movie, just like extra scenes or something. Like,
I know, dude.
The bed was exactly the same, the alarm clock, him walking in that same street. The guy that plays Ned, he looked exactly the same. The old man that I don't know the name of the actor who is supposed to have the groundhog. He's like, hey, you stole my groundhog. It looked exactly the same. It all looked the same. It felt so genuine. They did a great job captivating that.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. I mean, that was funny, and that's why people watch Super Bowl ads is for great content like that, right?
And there was one more I just forgot about. Did you guys see Baby Planter? That make fun of Baby Yoda.
Oh, I only saw the picture of it. But.
They did this whole Planters Peanuts where Planters, the peanut nut, died over the past week.
Yeah.
And so as at the funeral, this peanut drops out of the sky and it's a baby planter. So like Baby Yoda play.
It actually makes a lot of sense because on Twitter, like a week ago.
Oh, it came out of his grave.
From
Okay.
Kool-Aid Man's Tears.
From Kool-Aid Man's Tears. I forgot about that part.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead. But it's like, I remember like, that's right, dude. Here's that commercial too as well. But it's pretty hilarious stuff though. Like all the different mascots from different products were sat there at the funeral.
Oh my god.
Kool-Aid Man's tear gave birth to Baby Planter, which looked like Baby Yoda.
Like a week or two ago, they posted on Twitter, "Rest in peace, Mr. Peanut" or whatever, and I was just like, "What? Like, why would you just like kill like your main spokesperson?" And then now it finally comes full circle during the Super Bowl. So that was kind of like an interesting way of like kind of leading up to it, I guess.
It's storytelling for sure.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think it's a stupid idea. How weird. I don't know. Like,
they're playing off popularity, what's going on in pop culture for sure.
Yeah, they're just going off of the Baby Yoda thing. So they're just trying to get a baby peanut and just make it their own.
that's fine. Just the death of Mr. Peanut thing, was a little off-putting, just in my personal taste. But yeah, but that reminds me, I saw a meme that says like I would feed baby Mr. Peanut to Baby Yoda to keep him alive.
It's nice, dude.
But yeah, probably, at least I think it was all of our favorite Super Bowl ad was we had our first look at the live action Disney Plus MCU shows.
Yes.
And didn't show too much, but we could kind of analyze a little bit. But I mean, we got to look at Captain America and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and Loki.
Yes.
All coming soon.
So WandaVision looks like it's going to be like wild. It looks like they did a real. I think they did a good job. And I know like, Marvel fanboys saw 4 seconds of a Marvel thing and they think it looks amazing. They literally showed me just enough of what I wanted to see. Like I was kind of with you where like I don't need to see a commercial to want to see this. I just want to see like a little bit so that way I kind of like know that okay, it is kind of what I'm thinking. And what they showed was kind of like what I was thinking of how the show is going to kind of look. So I think it was a pretty neat little sneak peek that they showed us.
The brilliant part I loved about it was showing us that it's going to appeal to mass audiences outside of comic book fans too. I love the Brady Bunch house that they're standing in. Let's all with Dick Van Dyke area, like the house there too. It's like Wanda's vision. I love the multiple realities type of thoughts that she's probably going to be envisioning, excuse the pun there, inside of what she wants to be maybe her perfect reality. And it's going to be just the adventures of her trying to figure out what she's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, especially in recent comics, they made Scarlet Witch so powerful.
Yes.
And it's, gosh, like, this is going to be so fun to explore. What?
Just had a thought, dude. Imagine if this is the road to House of M to bring in
absolutely. And
the mutants into the Marvel Universe.
I think that's something that's we definitely have to talk about. But it's, we We saw her comic book accurate costume, which was interesting.
Awesome. I
love it too, but I wish Marvel has done this across the board. Whenever they're not doing comic accurate costumes and they do these little things, like they still don't take it seriously, because she had a Halloween costume cape, like just to kind of make it like, I'm not taking this like seriously. Like they did that with Jessica Jones in her comic accurate. Is it Jewel?
Yes, Jewel.
And that like, and they kind of just like put that again, and then they did the same thing with Hellcat, like yellow spandex, and like
Luke Cage.
Like
did it for his little getting his power scene.
Like
it's almost like fan service rather than trying to take it seriously.
Right.
But how good of a job has DC done with their costumes? Just like Superman,
Yes.
Wonder Woman, Batman,
can execute it.
Especially the Ben Affleck Batman costume. That was a very comic book accurate Batman. Regardless of what you thought of Ben Affleck as Batman, he looked great.
I also think I think it's kind of slightly different for the Marvel DC thing, only because the Marvel universe, they want it to take place in like they want you to think that like Spider-Man could be outside. It's New York City. It's not just Gotham. So like, I feel like you can kind of get away with doing things that are a little like, no one's really going to walk outside looking like that kind of a thing. Whereas Marvel is, they want this to look as genuine and as realistic as they possibly can, and kind of stick to what the main feel of the character's costume would be. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is like Scarlet Witch is like, what did they do? Just like pretty much like kind of ultimate Scarlet Witch in a way.
Inside of the movies, of the Avengers movies.
Yeah, because like she never even had a headpiece. Like, because we all see like these amazing cosplayers that can really pull it off, and you're like, like there's something you could do a little, but it's fine. Like I'm not complaining. Like I Scarlet Witch is like one of my favorite MCU characters. I think like they've done such a good job with her, and I'm really excited to see what happens from here. Yeah,
it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be the biggest. It's going to be the biggest show that's going to mean, I think, the most as far as the future goes. And I'm saying that even though I think the Loki thing, I think it's going to have even bigger implications than I previously thought until I saw this 1 second clip of Loki in the commercial.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, and they've already said that like this is going to have huge implications for the MCU going forward, and especially the new Doctor Strange movie. So like they're planning something very meticulous, and like what you just said with House of M,
yes,
I could very much see that, especially what's going on with all this reality distortion stuff.
Yes,
and I think we've talked about this in previous podcasts that maybe they'll end up doing like a reverse House of M instead of No More Mutants. Like maybe we'll have
expanding the mutants.
There are mutants now.
It's like that. All three of those shows, the characters and the actors are a continuation of the movies. And that's what I love about this whole situation too, is that now that they're moving on to Eternals into the cinematic universe, they can still do the storytelling with these characters and keep that going for whatever they're setting up next. And that's something that you can still have the focus be in the theaters of like, okay, the Eternals are where we're going with our cinematic universe right now for this stage. And obviously, but Black Panther's still there too as well. And Black Panther interacted with the rest of these characters that are now Disney Plus TV series. And so you may see these Disney Plus TV series set up Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2.
Absolutely.
And things that you will see these little bird seed thing moments happen in these TV shows that are leading to the continuation of your Endgame storylines.
Well, that was the best part. The best part about this is like Marvel TV folded back into Marvel Studios. So this is Marvel Studios doing these TV shows. So we're not going to have this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cloak and Dagger and, all this nonsense where it's like, okay, it's kind of there, but like there's no real crossover. Like this is it. Like these are the MCU actors. These are direct ties into the movies. Like they're gonna cross over. Like this is the best case scenario for any comic book fan.
And I'm telling you right now too, like we talked about last week with our back issue talk, or 2 weeks ago was that actually now the back issue talk episode.
I think it was last week.
Watch some of these plots that are coming up inside of these TV shows because the back issue market's going to start exploding. We're talking about that a little bit beforehand about West Coast Avengers 45, the first appearance of the White Vision. You saw the White Vision moment in that commercial. It looked more like a gray tint to him, but that is something that they're going to be obviously evolving into in the story. And Vision died at the end of Endgame, but his pieces are all still there. And Scarlet Witch, she's the one that could be the masterpiece to bring them back together.
I don't see why not. I can't believe Vision hasn't already been resurrected, quite frankly. And I'm sure the first appearance of a U.S. agent, is already skyrocketing because of his involvement. Have you guys seen the costume of the actor as U.S. agent?
It looks really good.
It looks exactly like the U.S. agent costume, except it's blue instead of black. Which maybe they'll make it black eventually.
Well, Captain America 323 has been jumping up on eBay like crazy in the past couple of weeks because of that announcement.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, first appearance of John Walker.
Yeah. So one of the things that I took away from the trailer, which is I think to me one of the biggest little teases, was the Loki part. So Loki he was like in like a little like jumpsuit or something. And it says TVA on his shirt, and TVA is the Time Variance Authority. So clearly, he took the cube, he did something with the time, and whatever he did, they felt like that they had to step in because obviously they think he could do something that might ruin the timeline. Right.
Wow.
So for those of you who don't know, because honestly, I had to look this up too once I heard about it, because I wasn't sure if it was what I thought it was, but I was right. But it was just basically like the time police, right? I mean, it's basically like the best way to explain it. So they first appeared in Thor 372. When they appear in Thor, it has to do with there's this person called Zaniacs, and he keeps like possessing different people, and he keeps going around killing very attractive women.
Serial killer much?
Yeah, so it was kind of like an homage to serial killer. Oh my gosh, it escaped me.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Wow. So I didn't know about this storyline.
So the whole thing was, Thor's trying to stop him, and he finds out that he ends up wanting to go for Jane Foster, right? So he ends up trying to stop him, and he ends up failing, and she ends up dying.
Wow.
So Thor is upset because he didn't get there in time, and then I guess he used like some enchantment that was still left in Mjolnir or something, and he ends up using it to go back into time. But he does it with one of the people that are from the Time Variance Authority, and then he ends up saving I almost said Mary Jane Foster, and it all gets fixed. Anyway, this doesn't have anything really to do with it, but it's just interesting that they decided to incorporate it. But when I was looking up some other appearances that they had that might be significant, I saw in Fantastic Four 353, he appears because, Fantastic Four did something and it would cause an issue because it messed with the timeline, right? And Fantastic Four were really upset because they're like, the Avengers have done this a bunch of times and you guys didn't do anything to them, and so have the X-Men, and why are you coming after us? Which is actually kind of a hilarious argument. But one of the interesting things is in that comic book, when they are there, they go to this place called the Time of Null. So where they go is kind of like where this like time police is set up. It's like outside of time. Wow. Where they are. But when they go there, they can see different realities and different alternate universes that might have been just, they stopped them. Like they no longer exist, and they get kind of thrown away. And in that comic is the first appearance of Supergirl.
What? In the Marvel Universe?
In the Marvel Universe. She's in one of those universes.
Get out.
That is awesome.
And you know why she's in one of those universes and what that universe Supergirl is from?
What?
It's from Crisis of Infinite Earths. And what is DC doing right now?
They just did Doomsday Clock. And the Crisis on DC too.
In the show, they just did Crisis.
They just did Crisis in the TV show. So here's another thing. The most recent comic that just came out in Thor #2.
Okay.
In Thor #2, there is this thing called it's called the Black Winter. It's a cosmic plague. And this is like Galactus is scared of this. This is how powerful this thing is. And Thor is actually a herald of Galactus now. Okay.
Dude, this is so funny that you're talking about. I'll let you finish, but this is ironic because we've been talking about this in the stores. DC getting right. Go, I'll let you finish, dude.
So Thor #2, the beginning starts at this cosmic plague has destroyed universes. Mm-hmm. Okay. And in one of the parts, Thor starts referencing, in Thor 2, they start referencing the Black Winter killing a universe. And this universe had a sun god, which was represented
Superman.
in red and blue, a god of emerald, which was green, a god of darkness, which was black, a god of ocean, of speed, and of strength. And it said the universe, like so many other before it, was protected by a league of gods, and it was destroyed. So Marvel, first of all, Marvel destroyed the DC universe in the Marvel universe. But not only that, this time variance thing can link essentially DC universe to the Marvel universe in the movies. So I think that I wouldn't be surprised if there is some type of hidden crossover that we have no idea is going to happen, or that they're going to have some type of deal where, kind of like in the Thor 2 comic, where they reference DC characters somehow into the Marvel universe. And we know Marvel and DC, they've worked together before in the comic books, and, Marvel versus DC. Different events. But to me, this is just has such big implications, and I didn't want to tell either of you guys about my idea until this. I want to get a genuine reaction. So what do you think?
Oh man, can I make observations about this too?
I saw you talking about this the other day.
Yes, we were talking about this in the store a couple of weeks ago, because in Doomsday Clock they made a reference to.
This is going on right now, right, in the comics?
Yes, well, just ended. And Dr. Manhattan opened up multiverses of everywhere. And so now every portion of DC's history is now together again. And gosh, dude, there's been references teasing each other back and forth for this year. And to go into things even more detail, 1985 was the first Crisis.
Yes, and
that's 35 years ago.
Yeah.
1995 was DC versus Marvel, which was 25 years ago. So it's been a quarter century since the crossover, and they're now teasing each other about let's do it again. And so I'm not saying this is going to happen, but how great would it be if Galactus getting Thor is they're both funneling to the same mission of starting a storyline together?
When we were talking about this in the store, didn't one of the comics, the DC comics, reference
a character
Marvel?
I think, I'm trying to remember what the reference was in the DC of Marvel reference.
But they had the same. It was the same kind of idea, wasn't it?
Like, were they referencing
green
Spider-Man or Captain America? The Hulk. Yes, they're referencing the green,
like a monster or something, right? I thought one of you guys said that.
Yes, I think
so. DC just did that same kind of reference thing in their comics just now.
But DC didn't kill Marvel, did they?
No, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
They may be referencing the All Access moment where the two universes merged together, because that did happen in both universes. And so for them to be able to reference that, it did happen to both of them. So does that mean that like it's going to be another story? Maybe, maybe not. But those things happen for both companies' universes' history.
And they acknowledge that there was a reality in which this took place.
There was the marriage between the two universes at one point.
I wouldn't even be upset to make this work easier if they did like an animated movie and just had the actors voice them all. Chris Evans could be Captain America. Ben Affleck can be. Well, I guess he's gone, right? So is it Rob Pattinson now, or Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman? That would be cool.
Yes. And DC just announced every multiverse has got a multiverse, and what they're doing the same thing with Spider-Man right now. Like Spider-Man's doing that exact same thing right now with their Spider-Verse series right now. It's blowing me away about they're teasing so many multiverse crossovers right now. And one of the things, like the second issue of that Spider-Verse one that's out, it's Aunt May having spider powers. But so it's like she got bit by the spider. And
I guess it's better than a Herald of Galactus.
Yes, they did the Herald of Galactus thing with her too, but they did the multiverse of Aunt May too. And so Aunt May, since she got bit by a spider, she's got her own multiverse. So there was like a Carnage Aunt May that was coming through to try to kill the Aunt May Spider Woman type of thing they're doing with her. And it's kind of getting a little bit bizarre, but at the same time, they want you to think that anything's possible. So don't discount it if we can get it to go work.
It's that theory that there's infinite realities and infinite possibilities. So,
and that's a DC thought process. Do you know the infinite Earths things?
I think that's a real, I forgot. There's somebody theorizes that.
Yeah.
That's a real theory. And that's where this is all
coming
based from. And granted, are you taking it too far? I guess not, because that's what infinite possibilities means. Is that Aunt May is Herald of Galactus, or it could be Spider-Man.
Now, What If's gone wild.
Right. I mean, the Marvel could do What If comic and just have Marvel versus DC and just do it. And that's going to be animated, you know, so they could just do a Marvel versus DC or just, it doesn't have to be Marvel versus DC. It could just be like Superman's in an episode or something, like Superman versus Thor. It would just be cool to see, you know.
A What If episode would be perfect. You hit it right on the nose there. It's like the What If animation's coming, and like what if a DC Marvel amalgam crossover short story happened in that
season 2 can just be, you know, that, you know, Superman and Spider-Man, you know, Thor and
is Young Justice
Superman.
going on the DC app right now with the Warner Brothers app, whatever they're doing? Did they bring that back? Is that what the
I
DC
thought they
cartoon
already
is?
did that.
Okay, what's the current DC animated series? Is there one they have running right now?
Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans Go? No, dude,
No,
and the Harley Quinn one's horrible. What's that type of thing to do with?
I love Teen Titans Go. The parody is just so good, though.
Yeah, but the Harley Quinn.
It's not a serious thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You can't
Teen
do
Titans
that.
Go. but the Harley Quinn cartoon, I think, is the only current animation. I think it's self-contained inside of that, so they won't have Harley Quinn crossover.
Even that, like, I don't watch it, but from what I've seen, it's like, isn't it kind of silly?
It is silly, and it's very rated R. I'm very surprised. Oh my gosh, the most rated R thing I've seen DC do
That's
yet.
disappointing.
Oh, it's just like that. She's dropping F-bombs constantly.
Are you
and
serious?
S-bombs. Yeah, dude. It's like
They're gonna ruin Harley Quinn like they did to Deadpool. They're gonna make it just too ridiculous to keep the character serious.
It's a story of her breaking up with Joker and Poison Ivy trying to get her back on her feet and say, like, you don't need this guy, and her trying to start her own gang of Harleys type of thing from there.
But one other thing, though, you know, this also might help bridge the gap between the Spider-Verse, you know, that you have the Sony still owns Spider-Man kind of a thing, and kind of put the characters with the Sinister Six and kind of meld them into the MCU. I think that this might kind of help make it fold in a little easier, because they kind of been like, oh, it's not really the same universe, which maybe they weren't lying. It's not the same universe until Loki screws it up, and now it is part of somehow the same universe, you know?
Yeah, and maybe whatever they do with the X-Men and Fantastic Four too, you know? I mean, like, certainly a lot of possibilities, and that was a really good catch from a logo that was up for 1 second.
Very good catch.
Any other closing thoughts on the Disney Plus stuff?
I thought it was a great commercial. I mean, I think the Black Widow trailer that dropped again too was another great push for Black Widow, I thought, as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Black Widow, and I can't wait to do an episode with it. I mean, like, she's one of my favorite comic book characters, let alone MCU characters. Like, I love Scarlett Johansson, so I might be a little biased there, but like, I also love Taskmaster, so I really hope they do Taskmaster justice as well.
Yeah, me too.
But that's about all the time we have for today. I mean, this was kind of a little Super Bowl special episode without being too football-y. But we appreciate you all taking the time to make us part of your weekly routines and listening to us and telling your family and friends. And, you know, special shout out to the Dutch Brothers. Which Dutch Brothers was that?
The one over at Westgate, 99th Avenue in Glendale. We're on the way over, and so they always ask, so what are you doing today? It's like that, oh, well, I'm going to do a podcast with my friends Blade and Lance. They go, really? What's your podcast about? It's about comics and pop culture. Oh, my dad loves comics. It's like, really? What's the name of the podcast? They go, Nightcap Chat. Check it out. And it's funny, she took our order and then she ran back to the Dutch Brothers like main restaurant area. And I go, why'd she disappear like that? She comes back out. I wanted to write down what the name of that podcast was before I forget. And I go, that's awesome. Thank you for listening. And same thing I'm really checked out too. It's like, what are you guys doing? That's the great thing about Dutch Brothers is they're always invested, whether they care or not, in the customer. Tell them like that, hey, dude, be engaging with them. Just don't give them their drink and tell them to get lost.
Yeah,
I
love Dutch Brothers.
Yes.
I love the culture. I love everything that they do. From what I understand, if you want to franchise out a Dutch Brothers,
you have to work there for 3 years, right?
I didn't think it was that long. I thought it was like 6 months. But like, but they make you in you have to be in the trenches.
Yes, you have to be working in a Dutch Brothers.
And like, you know, to me, like as like a business owner, like that's huge because I think, you know, a lot of that can get lost in translation, you on the higher ups. I mean, there's a whole reality TV show that SNL's been making fun of with Kylo Ren with this undercover boss thing. It's like that's essentially what they're doing here. Yes. They're making you see what the workers go through. Because I mean, like they get up early in the morning and have to memorize all these drinks, and their drinks are great. I love Dutch Brothers.
They're always like staying ahead of the curve. Let's keep things fresh. Let's make new drinks. Let's make sure everybody is reached before they even get to the menu. Half the time I go through Dutch Brothers, it's like, what do you want today? I'm saying, oh, well, that looks good from what I can see from here, because they're to you before you even get to see what's even on their menu. And the lady rattled off like a bunch of drinks to my daughter who's with us today, and it's like that. Okay, it's like, what do you like? And then lemonade, she rattled off like every single freaking lemonade off the top of her head, and it was just, what do you like? And they're interested in what you want. And they know their own products, which I think, is being a business owner myself, is golden to make sure you get repeat business.
Yeah, and I could never do what they do, because like I've never gone there, and the person hasn't been like the happiest person ever to talk to me.
Yes,
and it's just like I can't have that positive energy like all the time. There's not a chance, especially before I've had my coffee. Like there's no way.
Yes, it's like they copied the Disneyland model of like the happiest coffee place on earth.
Yeah, totally. And I love that model. So I mean, I definitely. Shout out to Dutch Brothers and shout out to Dutch Brothers Westgate. But we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. We're on Facebook and Twitter at Nightcap Chat, and on Instagram at Nightcap_chat. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, and more. Feel free to, if you do enjoy this podcast, leave reviews, because, not only is that good for us, it allows us to have different opportunities with advertisers to have lots and lots of positive reviews. You can find more about Ken.
Yeah, Drawn to Comics. We are that comic shop located in downtown Glendale on the corner of 58th Avenue in Glendale, and Drawn to Comics on social media and on the website drawntocomics.com.
And you can always follow Lance on Twitch.
Yep, you can follow me, come say hi, talk comics, whatever. I'm on Twitch TV / Tales of Lance.
Nice.
And that is a Tales of Suspense 39 reference for those of you not quite understanding the Iron Man aspect of that. But thank you all for listening, and we will catch you all next week.